Hi everyone. Can you? Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome to Kitaabi Cabins. I am not sure if anybody is here, but that's absolutely amazing because Kitaabi Cabins is a new channel and that gives us more room for experimentation. But the moment I said it, there's a hi from Mohit and Anjit. Notification squad. Amazing. I'm just going to check quickly because nobody was here. I'm going to check quickly if the audio is fine and everything else is fine. Wonderful. So, how's everyone doing? Kya chal raha hai? It's midweek. We also have a guest today, and we're going to talk about Vikram Betal. Actually, Vikram Betal was supposed to be clickbait. We'll talk about Vikram Betal, but we'll also be talking about. क्या मेरी आवाज़ आ रही है? But we'll also be talking about a lot of ghost stories, folklore, etc., etc. And I have this book, Tales from the Hills. I don't know how I came across this because हम पुलका जा रहे थे with the entire team, and I'm sorry, I have cold. So we were going to Pulga with the entire team, and I wanted to discuss ghost stories with everyone, and so this is what we came up with. So I tried to search for a lot of books, and this was one of the books that was recommended to me on the internet, so that's that. But hi everyone, so we'll be talking about a lot of folklore, ghost stories, etc., etc. Hi Anchit, hi Ujay, hi Shy Guy, Jibin, Vrinda, so many of you are here, nice. And thank you so much for joining, this is absolutely amazing. Vaibhav is here. Hi Vaibhav, how are you? I forget the mics are really nice. They'll catch any remote sound that you make. Okay. And yeah, this is absolutely nice. Guys, how's your week going? And so I'm planning to bring guests for a lot of streams now. And that's one. And let's see what else we can get from here. So the entire agenda of today's stream is that we'll be talking about a lot of mythology, especially Vikram Betal. So for those of you who do not have the context, in fact even I don't have a lot of context, but today we're going to be joined by my very dear friend. You might have seen him on Chalchitra Talks as well. We've had him for a couple of streams now, and so we're going to talk about a lot of mythology, etc., etc. And I'm really sorry about my voice today. I have sore throat and it's a flu. So there's that. Do you remember the Disney show Vicky and Vetal? No, I don't. What was the show Vicky and Vetal about? And this is Milo. I don't know how many of you still get it. It comes with a paper straw now, so that's absolutely amazing. And it's one of my favorite things. And there's a Reliance store near my place. And every time I go there, I take away all their stock of Milo, which is out in front. So today we got 7 packets, and those were the only Tetra packs that were left. I mean, they only display 20 of them, and I don't know who buys the other packets of Milo, but I really wish they would stop buying them so I can buy all of them. Okay. It's okay, absolutely okay, Ayushi. We started making them public. They were going to be private, but unfortunately they are not anymore. You can actually watch them on... what is it called? You can actually catch them now because we've made them public. And why giving free advertisements? Yeah, like Milo should definitely approach me. Team Nestle, if anybody from Team Nestle is watching. But this is absolutely wonderful to have you guys, to have all of you here. But we'll get into the groove. It's been a long day, so my energy थोड़ी सी कम थी. But Tales from the Hills is actually a book about Lahore and Spiti's enduring myths and legends. It's by Manohar Singh Gill. Now, the thing, for those of you who do not know, Lahore uh, and Spiti is a district in Himachal Pradesh. It's a tribal area, more or less, and therefore there are a lot of there's a lot of folklore. So Himachal has a lot of folklore, as I believe a lot of places in India would, and a lot of places across the world would actually. But I am from Himachal, so there are a few myths and legends I've grown up with, and I was very curious to explore more of them. So I came across this book, and it has a lot of stories about the kind of ghosts we have. Like, for those of you who've been watching Miss Marvel, there are jinns that are being talked about. So I just thought it would be very interesting to have somebody talk about similar stuff. And coincidentally, one of my friends was reading Vikram Betal, and I think it's called Vikram Pachisi. God, my knowledge. But yes, do you remember the? I have no idea about that. The I just remember Milo के साथ हमें cricket miniature cricket kit मिलता था, and what else? I also remember uh, we used to get like those small rubber balls, which I have no idea about. Hey Chanda, thank you so much. We need Milo F1 team to finally show Red Bull its place. Absolutely. Perhaps Ferrari should. That doesn't really make sense. Sorry. But Milo is nice. Where am I exactly from in Himachal? I'm from Mandi. And did I grow up there? Not really. My friend is also here. I'm going to let him in. I wasted a lot of time while waiting for him. I did not actually, though. I have no idea about that. Hi, Bhoomik. How are you? He's connecting his audio. But okay. I've been trying to get hold of those rubber balls, but okay. Hi, Bhoomik. Are you there?
Hello.
Hi. Those
Hi
of
there. How
you.
are you?
Yes, I'm good. We're live. Hey, what's his name? There is a little.
Yep, that's Oscar.
Yes, Oscar is
Yep.
here with us in the stream. Is that a fake background, or is he just sitting there very quietly?
No, he's actually waiting
Nice.
because we're kind of encroaching on his time to walk. So yes.
Oh, I'm sorry about. I don't I feel genuinely sorry, but I'm also like stream is important.
No, no. I mean, we do go for late night walks. So I guess tonight's gonna be one of those nights.
Yes, late night works.
Yeah, he's going to bark in between. So yeah, I hope that
It's
stays okay.
okay. Yeah, my friends. I'm trying to get the politically correct term for it because ever since I've been living with a dog myself, I used to find using the word pet or somebody's dog very offensive. So, but whatever, like the whole, Siri was staying with me for a couple of days. So I've gotten used to having them speak in between the streams.
Okay. No, we're cool with being Oscar called a dog also. We're okay.
But this is amazing. We were discussing, I was having Milo right now. We were talking about Milo के साथ जो बचपन में frisbees and cricket bats and everything were coming, but we were just whiling our time away एकदम nostalgia के साथ. But we were going to talk about Vikram Betal and a lot of other things today. Oh, but
Yep.
wait,
Yep.
how have you been?
Been all right.
Right.
Still just waiting. Not waiting. I mean, sort of the work from home is going to come to an end soon.
Is it?
So yeah, I think I'll be visiting Gurgaon apparently. So yeah, that's going to be a major change after a
Nice.
long time.
Nice. Are you excited for this?
Partly yes. Then again, there's a lot of pollution there. So I would be like, okay, let's see how it
How
turns out.
long have you been staying at home?
It's been over 2 years. Yep,
Nice.
over 2 years.
That's nice. That's a long time.
You never left Chandigarh, but did you?
I did for a month.
Chandigarh is fine. I mean, you can still, be
Yeah.
there. Gurgaon, not so much.
True. Chandigarh is nice. It's charming. I've realized I have fallen in love with the city. I used to despise it a couple of years ago, but
Uh-huh.
over the past few years, I've fallen in love with it. So much so that I think it's a little toxic, but okay. More on that later
You need
when
to
we do
start
a
your running
Steven
routine again,
cities.
exploring all those Chandigarh trails and everything.
Yeah, I've discovered so many. I've not discovered, but I've found like my favorite spots. Like यहाँ पे butter chicken, यहाँ पे tandoori chicken, यहाँ पर we go and eat. What is it called? Different things. So I kind
Okay.
of guess I like that part. I've also discovered a museum lately in Chandigarh, so that's very interesting.
Okay. I guess, and funnily, you used to go running around the time when I started.
Yeah, running as in running.
Yes, I think that was like what, 2018, 19, somewhere around that time.
Right,
You
right,
were
right.
running quite
So
sometimes, and I guess I remember because I started around the same time.
true. You know why I stopped? Because I would go out early in the mornings and there would be stray dogs and they would just like follow you and I would get shit scared of them and I was like, no, no, no.
Oh, there
This
are.
is
So we have stray dogs in our colony, but so there are two kinds of stray dogs. One which are friendly with him, right? So there are three
yeah.
guys who would sit right in front of our house all the time, and there is bodyguards when he steps out, right? So whenever
Right.
he's out without the leash, they will keep circling around him, and if the other dogs are there, they would be like the first line of his defense. Although
Uh,
I've generally seen that no matter where I go with him, whenever there's a street dog, apparently even I've become much more comfortable with all street dogs. But whenever I'm with him, I've apparently learned that lesson that they're just going to bark from 10 feet away. They're never going to come near you or anything.
same.
So yeah, you.
I used to take out Siri for I used to take Siri out for walks and then one
Uh,
day we decided to go out of the main gate and we walk a little further and she was very excited because we don't usually take her outside and
okay.
pehle there were two dogs and somebody stopped them so we started coming home and then there
Yeah.
was this dog who discovered and he started barking and slowly there were 5 dogs 10 dogs and all of a sudden there was like a jhund of dogs barking at Siri and Siri was shit scared and I was shit scared but I was like okay and I obviously the dogs don't understand but I'm screaming at the top of my voice she's leaving you can go quiet I'm screaming but then yeah I don't think I can they were like here the only thing between Siri and the dogs was me but it was
Okay.
very scary. I
There
think by
was
the
this
end there
one.
were at least 15 to 20 dogs.
No, there was this one time. It was me and one of my friends. We were just walking through a street, and now that wasn't our street, to be fair.
Yeah.
Right. And we came in the same situation where we were surrounded by like about 10, 15 pack of dogs.
Yeah.
Right. And now I was like, yeah, I mean, we're surrounded. Okay. What can we do now? What he
Right.
did was he just clung on to me. He grabbed my arm and I was like, भाई अगर ये काटेंगे तो भी मैं क्या कर लूंगा मतलब like how do you think I'm going to protect you from them? Like if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So
God.
yeah, just brace your destiny if it comes to that.
True.
But we don't have to worry about it because there are cures. That's what I live with now.
Right. I cannot muster up the courage to go running, even now,
Okay.
even today. But
Oh,
cool.
you should pick up a cycle there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right. That can change a
Or
lot of things.
just skip rope in your own house. That's also a good idea.
Ah, I think you're more of a person who would want to explore or something, right? So just pick up
Right.
a cruising bike. You're not the kind of person who would stay home and skip rope, I think.
True. I mean, I've tried doing that. Hasn't
Yeah.
worked out well for me.
Pick up a bike, trust me. I picked up last year in September,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't know that I'm going to pursue it so much. 6 months later, I was looking for an upgrade
Wow.
because I was like, this thing can't go that far as much as I want to.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, it has a lot of things which kind of make it interesting. So maybe you should give that a try as
I'll do that.
well.
I'll do that. But I'll jump right to the Vikram Betal topic that we were going to discuss. And what's the background of Vikram and Betal like for the people who do not know about it? I know Vikramaditya was a king, and a yogi wanted him to get Betal for himself or something like that, and then murder Vikram. That's all I remember.
Okay, so Vikram Betal is, like just another one of those
Yeah.
like set of folk stories, just like Panchatantra is there. Vikram Betal is again another one of its kind. Now, how did I actually come across this? So I guess maybe all of us remember when we were kids there was this show Vikram Betal
Yeah.
on the television, right? So that is something that I guess everyone would have a hazy memory of. But recently, I think I was reminded of this in one of the Osho podcasts that I was listening to. So
Okay.
Osho started talking about it, and he actually told the beginning story in that podcast itself, that how Vikram Betal happens, right? Then there is a set of 25 stories which then you have to read. But uh, one key emphasis that he had was that a lot of these folk texts which exist, right? So he differentiated between two kind of people. Are you intellectually awake or are you not, right? So it was like this used to be that kind of content which can be consumed by everyone, whether you're intellectually looking for something, whether you're not, right? If you're not looking for something, this is still good entertainment, right? Even if you're looking for intellectuality within it, you can find, one lesson in each story, or, there is like one underlying theme which it is trying to explore through every single tale that it is telling. And that goes the same thing with Panchatantra as well. The difference with Betal Pachisi becomes that it is an entire setup where 25 stories are going to happen, right? And they're going to happen within one technical glitch that, Betal is always going to tell him that, you have to stay quiet. And then he's going to make him speak, right? And as soon as Vikram speaks up, Betal would go back to the tree.
True.
So I guess, the introductory part of it, that, how Vikram actually walks onto that journey, that is something that, speaks of bravery in itself, right? So if we go in and we check that thing out, it is about one man who is traveling between that jungle towards the Shamshan with like a rotting corpse on his shoulder, which is speaking to him, right? And he still has the courage to do it, and he has the courage to do it 25 times, right? So
There is a rotting corpse on his shoulder. I never knew of that.
that's what it is. So this is what it is. This is what it looks.
Yeah.
So this is the version that I have. This is from the Diamond
I
Comics
used to think Betal used to be
publication.
like a ghost of sorts. So it
So
was a
Betal
ghost sitting on
is
a back.
speaking through the corpse, right? Betal basically becomes one of those spirits that you can say,
Haha.
right? So Betal is a spirit which is speaking through those corpses. So the first, how this entire ordeal starts in itself is something which Osho used as a lesson in that podcast that I was listening to. So it goes in a way that like as long as you're not awake in life, you're missing out on so many things, right? But the moment you realize, even if you start acting from that point, you can accomplish a lot, right? So it was about Vikram as a king who would sit in his court, and there's this yogi who would appear in his court every day, and he would show up with a wild fruit that he would give to the king, right?
Right.
And not knowing what it entails, he would just pass it on to his wazir, which would later on then just throw it away, right, in another place. And this keeps happening for years and years. When one day the yogi, as usual, shows up every day, right, hands out that fruit, and there's like a small monkey in his court, right? So Vikram is like, oh, I should give this fruit to this monkey, it'll be of some use to him. So Vikram wouldn't say no to the yogi that why are you sending me all of this stuff which has no meaning to me, because he was very cordial and polite to anyone who appears in his court. So he would accept it with grace and then thank him for it. But he never knew that, what is that yogi actually giving? He just thought they're wild fruits. And when that wild fruit goes into the hands of that monkey, he takes a bite. And there, the whole court sees that, within that fruit was like a big sized diamond uh, hidden inside it. Right. And that's when he's like, oh my God, there's a diamond. And then he asks his wazir, where are all the fruits that I've been giving to you all these years? He was like, I don't know. I mean, there's this one pit at the back of the palace where I throw them every day. So they're like, go take a look. So they go and they see that, the fruit has rotten away and the diamonds are shining out of it, right? So Vikram orders that, this diamond should be used for public welfare immediately. And then go find that yogi now, like what's the deal? I want to understand.
Yeah.
So then the next day, Yogi usually shows up, right? They're not able to find him. And at that point in time, he asks him that, why have you been doing this? You've been giving me so much wealth over these years, which I didn't know about. And now that I know, I'm indebted to you. So I have to, do something for you so that this debt is off of my shoulders.
Right.
So that Yogi is like, okay, fine. Now that you know that what have you been missing out, right? So at least you'll be more careful in life that, anything that's coming your way is probably not meaningless, right? There might be meaning in every little things that are coming along. But that now that you have a debt, you should meet me at the Shamshan tonight. So that's where Vikram is like, okay, fine. So he takes a sword and he leaves in the night. And then it's about, how brave he was, that he fearlessly goes to that place. And there he directs him that, you go inside that forest. There's a tree over there which has 25 corpses, hanging on it, right? And it's been a long time, and we need to,
Oh, is that why
get
the
the final
25
rights.
stories?
Yeah, so that's why there are 25 stories. So it's
Okay.
like, we need to get the final rituals of those corpses done, right? But there is a twist which you'll find out. So please go and help me out. This is how you'll be off of your debt. Now, Vikram is a king, right? We're not kidding about, any random person or a warrior who's like, okay, I have to do something because this yogi is telling me. He could have denied, that no, I don't pick up corpses. That's not a very, royal thing to do. But he's like, okay, fine. I mean, a promise is a promise. So he sets out, and then he sees, then the whole description of that place, that jalte hue maas ki gandh ana, theek hai, and there is that entire place reeks of death, right? But he's walking through it, right? He's afraid. And now that's the emphasis, that it's not like, he doesn't care about it. He's still afraid of it, right? Because this is not a very usual setting for anyone to be in, right? But he still does it, right? That's where bravery actually comes in, right? I mean, if you're not afraid of doing something, there's no bravery in doing it. The bravery comes if you're afraid to do it and you still, decide to do it. That's what bravery actually is. So that's what that lesson tells. That lesson tells you as well. And then he picks up a corpse, right? He now again, he reaches there. The corpses are, hanging on the tree. How does he get them down? Right, that's also a task, so that also you have to think about. It's not like magically a corpse is going to be available for him. Okay, please pick me, take me. So he somehow gets one corpse down. It falls down, like then it talks about कि मतलब एक लाश के गिरने की आवाज आती है, ठीक है? Then that's, you imagine that voice, what a loud thud that would make when it falls on the ground. He picks it up. It's rotting. It smells like what a rotting corpse smells like, right? And he puts it on his shoulder and he starts walking. And then that cop starts talking to him. And Vikram is still not afraid, right? You see, I mean, not afraid. I mean, he's still not, walking out of it. He's like, okay, fine, whatever this is, I have to get this thing done. That's where the entire audience starts that, okay, Rajan, we've decided to do this, right? But okay, I mean, he said it's a long way. So just to, kill the silence for you, I will tell you a story. The Betal says that. But the condition is that, you cannot speak anything. You have to continue to be silent, no matter what. If you do that, if you speak in between, if you interrupt me, your head will blow away into 1,000 pieces, right? And you'll die instantly, and I'll go back to the day. And that's what happens, that, at the end of every story, the Betal would challenge him that that he raises a question, he tells a story, he raises a question, and then he's like, if you know the answer to this and you still don't speak up, right? In that case, your head will shatter to 1,000 pieces right now. Right? The condition was simple. If you don't know the answer, well and good. You don't have to speak up at all. But if you know the answer, you must speak. And every time it would happen, Vikram would know the answer. He would speak up, and they would all be moral questions, right? Vikram would know the answer. He would speak up, and the Betal would be like, "Okay, I'm going back to the tree because you just broke that condition that I told you." So it happens 25 times that he tries and does it, and then this is how the entire ordeal gets accomplished. So
Nice.
I'm not going to tell how it ends because that's something that people should go and
I
check it
think
out.
everyone knows how it ends, right?
I mean, there is,
Because of the
if
TV
we go
show.
by the dynamics of a story, there is a very obvious ending to this entire
Yeah.
thing. But still,
Nice. Nice. It reminds me of the show we used to watch when we were growing up, वो DD channel पर आता था, and the Vetal was hideous.
I think मैंने Star Plus पे भी देखा हुआ है शायद.
Yeah, star, the orange colored star. Like I
Probably.
think Star Utsav or I don't know
Yeah,
which
I
star
guess.
it was.
Yes. Probably
Somebody
that
has
one.
commented. I remember watching a Bengali cartoon, and whenever Vetal was about to fly back, Vikramaditya would turn to the camera and ask the viewers to tune in for more episodes next week.
Okay.
I actually realized it much later that the stories were just 25. बचपन में मुझे लगता था पता नहीं कितनी stories हैं. Because he wouldn't be
Uh,
carrying a new corpse every time. It would just be the same Vetal. And he would fly and go back to the tree and sit on it again.
right.
Now I don't remember if there were still 25 stories, उन्होंने काट के multiple episodes में कर दिया था. But from what I remember, I used to think कि वो हर episode में नई story होती थी.
Yeah, I mean, so again, you would have to script a television show a little bit differently from what a novel or a set of stories would be like.
Right.
But then again, I guess, I guess that is, apart from that, I've been reading a bunch of other stuff, but yes, I mean, this was a good thing to come back to reading Hindi in this case.
Nice. And who's written the Vikram Pachisi, if I'm pronouncing it
I
correct?
actually know that.
Yeah.
I don't think, there, from what I remember, I don't think, there is like a known writer of this. This is more of like, those kind of texts which are, told from one generation to
Oh,
another.
got it,
So
yeah.
those kind of story. So
Mm.
that is to the best of my knowledge. I
I
don't
think it's
really
very
recall that,
old
there's a
also.
documented writer of this.
Yeah. I think it's also very old. I don't know.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. So
if
these are
anybody.
these are folk tales,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Panchatantra has a writer, Pandit Vishnu Sharma, but Vikram Vedad, I don't think so. I know. Probably
Nice.
if someone knows, they should tell.
Have you read Panchtantra when you were growing up? I think my first book after Champak Nandu, etc., was Panchtantra, and also the first
Yeah.
award that I ever received in my life, apart from cash, was Panchtantra.
No, I had a Panchatantra, and I think my dad brought it from the railway station for me once.
Wow.
So from there, I had that one Panchatantra book, which I don't know where it is now.
Nice.
But yeah, I guess it was for me also. I was also really small around that time, and I guess it was one of those, like one of the books which looked good, the kind of books that I got. So he brought a really good edition because he kind of wanted me to keep it for a long, long time, which I did, but
Yeah.
I don't have it anymore.
I think I still have there was a fancy dress competition when I was in class 3,
Uh-huh.
and I won it in my own section because I was the only one participating, and they gave the Panchtantra books like itni pocket books to everyone who won the competition, and by default I got the one for my section. So
Okay.
that was nice. Nice.
Yeah, around that time, I think there used to be those scholastic book fairs
Oh
in the
yes.
schools, which would take out a lot of money from our parents' pockets. And
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of those books were even useful.
True.
I mean, I remember
I remember they used to send either it used to be like a proper book fair where they would set up
they
camps
would
and
send
everything.
that pamphlet where you can
Yes.
sign and put the money and drop it, and they'll
I used to hate the
send you.
pamphlet because you used to. There was this book I ordered on Oceans and I thought it'll be very interesting. Eventually, what came out was like just like a
Yeah, it was a
20
booklet,
pager.
sort of a small
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So I used to really look forward to the times they would pick up camps, and that's where I discovered Twilight and 666, and that's when I also read one of the Twilights and was very
I
disappointed.
have
But okay,
watched. I've watched one part of Twilight.
I've
I
read
was
one
so
part of
thankful
Twilight.
I didn't have to read it.
I've read one part of Twilight. I think it's the New Moon, whatever the
No,
first
I don't
part
think
is.
I'm ever going to read Twilight.
It's not that bad. You
I
can
have
live through.
another set on my bookshelf which I've been advised to go through.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the quadrology by Paulini?
No, 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 I haven't.
So the one that Aragon is a part of.
I haven't. I'm sorry.
Okay, so there are four books, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of them are about four different dragons,
Okay.
right?
Uh-huh.
So I mean, so Paulini was 14 years old when he started writing this, right?
Mhm.
So he was really young, and it's considered one of the masterpieces that he has actually come up with.
Right.
They're actually placed right over there, the first four. So
Nice. I
that's
also see
it's called the
some.
inheritance quadrology,
Nice.
inheritance cycle. It's called the
Okay.
inheritance.
Got it.
So there are like four dragons: Aragon, inheritance,
Yeah.
Brissinger, and eldest.
Nice. And
So
you haven't read them until now.
no, I have
I'm
to.
just
I have to.
curious, have you finished reading Siddhartha, that like the manga that's in your background?
That's Buddha.
Oh, sorry,
Yes,
Buddha.
that was something which
I
I
remember
had
when
in.
you got it, like I was like, hey, where did you get this from?
Yeah. So I haven't like got it. That's basically been loaned to me.
Yeah.
Uh, but I remember when I had a new computer, I was in like 9th or 10th standard. I had it in JPEGs in my computer, the entire novel.
Nice.
So when I saw it alive, I was actually, oh, this actually exists as a book as well. Okay. So I just, asked my mom if I can, borrow it for some time. I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So I have it with me, and
You don't
yes,
plan on returning it back, right?
I will, so that I can loan more. So yeah,
Nice, nice. That's
I mean
very
that's
nice.
a never-ending collection that he has. So yeah,
Sweet. I would
but yeah,
agree.
Buddha is still something I would recommend. If people can get it off the torrent or something, the volumes are available on Amazon as well. But
Right.
yes, it's one of the most beautiful mangas that I've read. And it's an American manga, so it's not written in that traditional format where you're reading from the last page,
Right.
right? So it's written in traditional format, traditional American comic format, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's a simple read. Some people find reading mangas difficult because they're basically reversed,
I've read
right?
one manga and now I'm thinking if I read it in the right direction.
You would have because you
I
would.
think so. Because I read it like in the traditional American format, but I'm wondering if it was actually.
Now it's possible. A lot of mangas nowadays come in traditional American formats only.
Yeah.
The
I
true
think it's
manga
by the
format is
same author who's written Buddha. So now I am worried slightly.
okay.
But this is nice. And what other things have you been reading?
What other things I've been reading? Uh, I think it's so I have like about six books kept right up there, right?
Okay.
None of them has been finished. So it's been started, but it hasn't been finished. But I've recently, started developing that habit that if I don't feel like, going ahead with the book, I decide to not go ahead. So I've decided that, if I realize that, I'm probably not seeking a lot of value out of it, I don't have to finish the book just because I have to finish it. So sometimes it's okay to not finish every single book that you start. Although six is not the number, I should be able to finish some of these. But yeah, I mean, so I recently started also reading self-help.
Oh, nice. What books have you been reading in self-help?
So I read The Compound Effect.
Okay.
Uh, and which one? I read The Grit and Elastic. Elastic is by Leonard Mlodinow, and Atomic Habits.
What's Elastic about?
Elastic is about elastic thinking.
Is it about
So,
being flexible and
uh, I mean, it has a lot of perspectives, right? So, Mlodinow is basically a theoretical physicist, right?
okay.
So, he talks in elastic in actually, like how do, different people think in different ways, right?
Okay.
And so it's not like there's this one correct way of thinking, but the thing is that in a rapidly changing world
Hmm.
nowadays, right, uh, having a backup plan is somehow not the best way to have a backup plan, right? You may have a backup plan, but by the time you reach it, maybe it becomes obsolete,
True.
right? Maybe
Yeah.
it's not the best recourse to take at that time as well, right? Uh, so similarly, he talks about several examples. There are a lot of talks that Nordenow has done as well, right? Uh, I guess one of the best examples that he was trying to illustrate. Uh, okay, no, not on the not on the top of my mind right now.
Yeah.
But yes, so as the book says, elastic thinking in a rapidly changing world, it's more about taking events as they happen and coming up with the best recourse of it at that point in time.
Got it.
Instead of, you should have a plan, but what if that plan does not works out? You
Yeah.
should not go back in that limbo where now you're confused that you need an entirely new plan. So it's okay to make changes to your plan. It's okay to constantly update your goals and the way you're achieving those goals.
So it's
And
essentially about dynamic thinking.
yeah. So
Dynamic backup
it's
plans
about
also.
not being disappointed if something is not working out,
Got
right?
it.
Because there are a lot of other things that you can do. So it again, that's another one of those examples that he talks about. So there are several things that he talks about, and then there's this another book that I read of him back in the time, The Drunkard's Walk, Randomness, and which talks about natural randomness. So he sort of revolves around that idea a lot, that life is random, the world is random, you would
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen next. So it's okay to just keep going with the flow, and instead of madly chasing a goal, live your life through opportunities that come along.
True. That sounds interesting.
So yeah, it was that. And then there was this one thing called Snapshots from Hell. So
Who's written this book?
Snapshots from Hell, so it's not a, yeah,
Why
it's a,
I've heard of the book. I can't remember anything about it except for the fact that I've heard of
you've
this
heard of
one.
the book? No, I don't think you've heard of the book.
I've heard the
So
phrase snapshots from hell.
Peter Robinson.
I think I've heard of, yeah,
So it's about this guy's journey through his MBA.
got it. Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
how is it?
so it was fun.
Okay.
Uh, I mean, it was just fun. Helped me reassure the fact that I don't want to do my MBA if I ever had to.
Nice.
Other than that, it was a bit comical at times, and then it also tells you a lot about how the American education system used to work. Maybe it's not the right thing to say that it works the same way today. But back then, like it's all about that. Like when you're in the college would talk that they're going to do something for you, and your career is their responsibility and everything. But in reality, the colleges don't really give a shit about you, right?
Yeah.
So in the end, you have to worry about your own career, and you have to make your own choices, and you can't
Nice.
keep running after other people's ideas.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So there's a Stanford batch of MBA, and it has like two kinds of people. One are those regular folks, who are investment bankers, or who come from other banks or other lines of work, and they're doing their MBA to bump up their career. And then
Okay.
there was this guy Peter, and a few other people like him, which were called the poets. So who come from multidisciplinary backgrounds, and Stanford has just accepted them to show that they have diversity in their student
Right.
strength that they have. In reality, Stanford doesn't really care if they do anything with their career through an MBA or not. And then he goes into do the MBA. So Peter Robinson was one of the key speech writers to Ronald Reagan. So
Okay.
he actually left the job in the White House to do an MBA because all of his friends were minting money, right, in the market, and he was living on a flat public salary, right? Which
Yeah.
he quoted in that book, that I was 30 and I was still driving my old car and living in a rented apartment, whereas all my friends were building villas and buying Ferraris. So it's like
Wow.
I wanted to live that life as well. So he calls up one of his friends and he says that, hey, you guys, you owe me. He was like, okay, fine. He was like, the next time I'm in DC, dinner's on me. He was like, no, it's not that. It was like all the liberalization that happened in the market, I was at the center of it, right? So I was among those key decision makers who actually helped that thing happen. And you guys are now making profit off of it. right? So you guys can't leave me behind. So his friend is like, okay, that's fine, but if you have to do it, you have to do an MBA and you have to come to the market. That's the only way you can make money, right? Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So he decides, and then he goes through hell, and then he learns that probably wasn't the best idea for him. So he was a graduate from Dartmouth in English, and then he moved to the White House through he was actually hired as a speechwriter to the vice president at that time. But then people in Reagan's administration kept quitting from his speechwriting team because they couldn't keep up with him. And luckily, he found a place there. And then by the time Reagan stepped down and he left, he was the key speechwriter to Reagan.
Wow, nice.
But yeah, I mean, it's also about his transition that, he was at the center of power of the world where, anything that he would want would get done. And then he leaves that and he's a nobody in Stanford. So that is also a huge change that he talks about in his life and, how he handled that change.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's all
This is a
about
very
random things.
interesting book. And it's called, sorry, what is it? What is the title of the book?
Snapshots from Hell. And it may not be easily found. I guess you'll have to see if it's available on Amazon or not.
I'll do that. But this sounds very interesting. I want to know
Yeah,
if I have an
it's
MBA.
actually, so again, another key takeaway that my mom told me that this book has is that, it'll eventually tell you that all higher education is basically nothing but common sense.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right. So that's what most higher educations are like. Not talking
Yeah.
about the applied sciences and all, but yes.
Nice. That's good. And have you also been reading any fiction?
Not really. I guess Betal is the one fiction that I picked up after a long time.
Nice.
I did find another more of like an account. I don't know if many people have heard about this book called Finding the Gaps.
Yeah. I have heard of it, but I haven't read it.
Finding the Gaps. Where have you heard of it?
I can't remember. Just like I can't remember where I'd heard Snapshots from Hell. But yeah,
Finding the
I've
Gap
heard of
is
the book.
actually by Simon Toffel.
Okay. Yeah.
So tell me you know Simon Toffel.
I don't.
Okay. So I guess anyone in the comments who knows Simon Toffel?
Okay. I think it'll take some time for the comments to reflect back because there's a lag. But yeah.
So that is actually the next book on my list. But yes, I think fiction so far, not a lot of fiction. But I've been watching a few things, though, not
What have you
reading.
been watching?
I recently started Family Guy, and
Okay.
there's this show that I found off of the torrents, and it's called Atlanta, and it's pretty awesome.
Why have I heard of Atlanta?
Atlanta is amazing. It has such a subtle humor, and
Okay.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm kind of hooked to it. I'm on the second season,
Uh-huh.
so yeah.
Nice. You know what I've been watching? There's this really stupid series on Netflix called Total Drama Island. So it's actually a
Okay.
cartoon series, and it's it's a take on the reality TV shows that we watch. So
Okay.
for TRP, so of course because it's cartoon, you can pull off any of the stunts that you want to. So it is a funny take on it's kind of like it's very sarcastic and it's a
Mhm.
very weird take on the reality TV shows, especially the ones where there are stunts involved, there is real danger, etc., etc. And it's just like at the end of season one, no, I can't give any spoilers, right? But it's just like a very funny take. So like you think this is going wrong, but then there will be something worse that will happen, and it can obviously happen the kind of because of the animation involved, because it's not a reality
Yeah.
TV, it's cartoon reality, but very funny. And the humor, so I think it was first released in 2007, but the humor is still so relevant and there's nothing obscene about it. And I think it's Canadian TV series. So I'm on season 2. It took me about 2 months to reach here. But if you're someone who watches TV shows regularly, it'll take you barely a week or so. It's very very interesting though.
I think Family Guy
Slightly
is also a bit
offensive.
on the same lines. Family Guy is an American show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There was this one distinct scene I remember. So, they are talking about, other races in that. And then, like, so one character would pass a comment on a race, and then,
Right.
the background would go black, and then they would, correct it that, this is not how you should talk about them. So, like, someone says that, like, the Red Indians are all about, the Native Americans are basically all about, like, they're still the thugs and everything. And then the screen went black, and then the characters like, some people have lost their way, but there's still a rich culture and everything. And
Yeah.
then this other guy, he's like, oh yeah, they're not like those Swedish thugs which are running around. And
Nice.
then again, screen goes black, and he's like, okay, I mean, Sweden has done a lot of things good and blah blah blah. And then there's the main character comes on, and he's like, at least they're not like those preloading Canadians. And then again, the screen goes black, and then he keeps standing there. It's like, Canada sucks.
This is nice. Yeah, I've heard a lot about Family Guy. I just haven't been able to watch it. But it sounds real fun. Have
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
No, no, no.
Not, were you saying anything?
I said Family Guy is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. What other things have you been watching about in the TV show category? It almost becomes like, hey, what have you been up to? Like, this is finally when we are actually regrouping and we're telling each other like
Yeah.
what we've been up to.
Even I have to think, what am I watching?
I've
I
been
think
I've been cooking lately. So before this stream, I
oh,
was just
yes.
setting up the kitchen because we got
Right.
a few new spices, masalas, etc. Because we're going to try more cooking.
I've been cooking a lot as well. And yeah, maybe we should exchange some recipes then.
Yeah, I do not know if I'll be able to contribute to anything in particular.
No, no. See, every time you cook, you would have some addition. You see, nobody ever cooks by the cookbook. That
True.
always happens.
I actually
Right.
have a few books here. They're there. They're like under a lot of books. But I'm going to follow recipes in each one of them and see what works and what doesn't.
No, I mean, I guess for me, mostly YouTube has been helpful whenever I want to try something new to cook.
Uh-huh. Nice.
So I think it's worked. Couple of people. There is still this one recipe which I am still, struggling to perfect, which I used to eat in college, and it used to be, available on those dhabas.
Oh,
Uh, so it's basically a Rajasthani recipe. It's called like save tomato, and that is still something I'm struggling with to find, that one taste that I used to have on those
seed
dhabas.
tomato?
No, it's not those apple wala save. It's a different. It's a bhujia wala save.
Oh, got it. Nice.
That confusion happened with me in first year of college. So I was in Madhya Pradesh, right? And
Yeah.
I woke up and I was like, "What's in breakfast?" And those guys were like, "There's poha." So I was a Punjabi new to Madhya Pradesh. Later on, I fell in love with poha. That's a different story. But
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, poha. Is there anything else?" He was like, "There's save also there." I was like, "Okay, I mean, chalo, I can have that." So I went up to the mess thinking that they're apples. They were not.
Yeah, I discovered poha for the first time in college itself because
Yeah.
we don't usually try it or have
Yeah,
it.
I don't think, I don't know why were they making poha in like Shimla.
I
Maybe
think
just to diversify the
I
menu.
loved
Like,
the
aaj kuch
college
naya
mess
banana padega.
though. I loved the college mess though. I still haven't had the same aloo gobi anywhere else. Like that was the most delicious aloo gobi I've ever had in my entire life.
Breakfast used to be awesome, I guess. Like, I guess for you guys, maybe, the mess served all three meals great. In our case, the breakfast used to be really good. Lunch and dinner, sometimes it was good. Sometimes it was like, okay, we don't want to eat it. We'll go outside the dhaba and have that save tomato. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
God. I started cooking with poha recently. A few days ago, like my first dish was poha
Yeah, I
poha.
saw that. I saw that.
I made poha again today,
Good.
but today it was a disaster, so I didn't even bother telling anybody that I made poha.
But poha is like it's pretty simple. But I guess you're making it even more simpler.
I'm new to the like So I'll tell you where I mess up. I mess up in quantities of the spices. Like namak ज़्यादा हो जाएगा, masala बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. Like I think I've perfected the art of making chai now. Like I can make for at max 4 people now without ruining the what चीनी कितनी डालनी है,
अच्छा,
like, ये कितना
मेरे
डालना है.
एक्सपीरियंस में तो ना मेजरमेंट कभी कुछ होता ही नहीं है, सब ना सब रिफ्लेक्स होता है कि इतना जाएगा, जाने
I
दो.
have to use a lot of my brain. Like okay ठीक है अब कितना जाना है.
The salt is the only thing which I stay a little careful with. I'm like yeah ठीक है ज्यादा नहीं डालना,
Yeah.
क्योंकि even if it's less you can balance it out later, but if it's more then there's nothing you can do about
I learned it today
it. Okay.
after ruining.
No, but poha, you should probably go back and follow maybe Ranveer Brar's recipe or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, because you need to add a lot more stuff to your poha. Do you not like onions? Is it like that?
I add onions in my poha. I don't like to add a lot of capsicums, etc.
No, there's no capsicum in poha.
No,
No.
some people do add capsicum. Then
Yeah,
there is
people
also
add carrots
peanuts,
also.
etc., etc.
People add carrots also.
This have you heard of the book Masala Lab? There are a lot of people commenting about it.
No.
So Masala Lab is a book that came out recently, I think a couple of years ago or something. I've been dying to buy it. I still haven't bought it because I have other cookbooks, but I've heard a lot about it. So when I initially took interest in cooking, I did not get started in the kitchen. I bought a book that was dedicated to spices because they confused me so much. I started with chapter 1 which was about chilies. Like मेरी theory strong है cooking के बारे में. Because it addressed every masala properly, like कहाँ से क्या source होता है, कहाँ पे क्या होता है. So that ways my theory is becoming stronger. But like when it
Yeah,
comes to
हमने
actually doing things in the kitchen,
I think Indian kitchen is pretty. It has like 5 or 6, like staple spices, which are always going to be there, right? The
yeah,
rest of the stuff is more like like specific to some dishes.
right.
But
I all
I
of a
guess like
sudden I feel like watching MasterChef. So
no, no,
I'll
like
MasterChef
in,
India
in
specifically.
our home, like there are 2 things. One is that garam masala, and there's this another black salt mixture which we make at home only. So that kind of goes into everything.
True.
So I guess that's what you refer to as like unke ghar ka swad, that kind of thing when you talk about it.
Yeah.
So that is like everyone's their own
I'm still
set of.
trying to understand how my grandmother cooks food because is it like because I use Everest and she uses Catch, or is it because I don't have enough love in my heart and she has very bad joke, sorry. But yeah, I'm
No,
still trying to like get the same taste, but
no, I guess another one thing that you will always have to live with the fact is that when you're cooking something, you will always be disappointed in it. You will always feel like you could have done it better.
I made bhindi today. It was nice. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा डल गया था and नमक भी, but like apart from it, it was really nice.
Okay. Nah, so
I'll
that
bring you the recipe if you want it for yourself.
okay. Okay. I actually tried out masala bhindi recently,
Yeah, I
which
know.
has tomato puree in it.
Yeah, I remember because you sent the photograph and I was like, hey, this looks tasty.
I
And you're
sent
like,
it
it's
to you.
bhindi.
Okay. Oh
Yeah, and
yes,
I was
you
like,
didn't know
hey, it
that it
looks
was
tasty.
bhindi.
Oh, no, wait. My first reaction was, oh wow, this looks amazing. And you were like, it's bhindi. And I was like, oh, what?
You made bhindi today. Nice.
Yeah, mine was still like very normal bhindi, kuch nahi karna hai. But masala bhindi, how did it turn out? Did it look good
It turned
eventually?
out all right. I mean, it was a bit different, right? So I guess there are 3 kinds of bhindis now that I know. One is that crunchy bhindi that you have to deep fry with besan. So it's sort of like bhindi ke French fries,
I haven't
right?
reached that far into the syllabus of cooking, so I have no idea what you're talking
Okay,
about.
that is something that I first had in Lucknow. So I learned that bhindi ko aise bana sakta hai koi. And then
Okay.
there is this masala bhindi which has this tomato gravy and everything. And the third one is the one you made.
Which is very normal and easy to
Now,
use.
the other one is also very normal. It's not really fancy. It's just that you have tomato in it, so it's a bit of a gravy. That is all.
Nice. Nice, nice, nice. I'm going to try some more of it.
Okay. What's the fanciest thing you've made so
Shakshuka.
far? Okay, I've never had that.
That's the only fancy thing that I've made.
Okay.
Shakshuka, I think, is an Israeli dish, and I learned it from a friend.
Okay.
So it's essentially aloo pyaz ki sabzi, but like tomato,
Oh,
and then beech mein bas there are boiled eggs. Like you pour in eggs and then you wait for them to boil, something like that.
okay. Got it.
You wait
Got
for them to, so you make pockets of those sabzi, and then un pockets mein you pour in eggs. That's
it.
shakshuka.
Okay. I okay. I recently learned a new. So I think this is the second only dessert that I know how to make. It's an Italian thing. It's called panna cotta. It's
Wow,
called panna cotta, something. So it's really simple, and you should try it out.
nice. I'll do that. I'll text you for the whole name.
Yeah,
Today I'm going to try making a pasta after this.
great. After this, you're gonna make a pasta.
Yeah,
Which pasta are you making?
I have no idea. I'm yet to Google the dish and decide upon it, but I've bought a lot of tomatoes, capsicum, onions, etc., so that I'm prepared.
So you're gonna make a red sauce.
Yeah, red sauce.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm not sure how to. But
I
yes.
can tell you, but I think this stream would, bore a lot of people if I tell the recipe
But you
here.
know what? I've actually started taking interest in books, and maybe the next stream we do, we can, if you would like to, and if you're free, we can talk about cookbooks.
I'll have to look into some of the cookbooks. I haven't been looking into cookbooks actually.
I have this great book called Tiffin. I don't remember who the author is. So it's actually about, so she's pretty old now, the writer of the book. She must be in her late 60s or mid 60s or mid 70s, something like that. And she's written the book about the dishes her mother used to pack. So she's written her your whole experience of tiffin, like
Mhm.
as a child what her mother would pack, then she grew up, went to college, what she would pack for herself, then what she would pack for her daughters, etc., etc. So she's written
Right.
about tiffin. That's the name of the book, and that is what it talks about. And it only has vegetarian food,
Yeah.
so not that it bothers me anyway, but like it's nice. You can cook for all of your friends.
No, I think, cooking kind of, brings out that humbler side in you because you kind of learn that, like how your mom has been working so hard throughout her life to feed you,
Yeah.
and which has been a bit of an underrated effort.
I
And
started doing this because my maid is on leave.
okay.
So she's gone to her village for
Another
50.
one thing that I've learned is, so I guess that goes for everyone. So if you're home, right, and your mom asks that कि आज रात को क्या बनाऊं,
कुछ भी
please
बनाना.
always take that question seriously. Yeah, don't give this
Yeah.
answer कुछ भी बना लो, right? I
I,
mean,
I
she's not
I'm
your
learning it
servant who's
now.
like
I'm
कुछ भी
learning
बना
it
लो,
now.
make something. Like, she really wants to hear an answer from you that you like
True.
something.
I'm
Yeah,
ready
and
to sit
it'll
down
make
with
her really
pen and
happy.
paper now.
Yeah, it'll make her really happy to cook you. I mean, you just go and tell your mom that मेरा ना ये खाने का मन है, and then you just see the smile and on her face that she'll just go into the kitchen and she'll make sure that you get what you wanted. So
That's
I've
that's
realized
your
that
mother.
that's a very important question when they ask, because for them it's like an important part of the day, right?
Yeah.
That they're gonna cook. So we should never
But you
take it
know
for
what?
granted.
What my mother does is she'll ask me, "What do you want to have?" And I'll tell her, "Okay, I want to have this," and she'll be like, and I'll be like, "Okay, this," and she's like,
That's
uh.
still better than you saying kuch bhi bana do.
Then I'm like, "Yeah, whatever is convenient for you, make that only." She's like, "Oh, do you want this?" Then and I'm like, "No." She's like, "बताओ मैं क्या बनाऊँ?" And I'm like, "I want this." She's like, This is like an endless cycle of. But then
मेरे घर
eventually,
पे इतना नहीं होता. मेरे घर पे ये होता है कि मैं ये बना रही हूँ, अगर नहीं खाना तो अपने आप बना लो.
which is nice. My mother doesn't let me enter the. I'm very clumsy. Very
Okay.
clumsy.
No,
I,
as much as it is important to be a good cook, it's also very important that you don't make a lot of mess in the kitchen.
oh, I don't. I clean as I move along, but I just drop a lot of things.
Okay. So
Any.
I guess like, so cleaning and housekeeping of the kitchen is like equally important as much as cooking,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I second that.
because after we're done eating, we don't want to do that, but we have to.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
So
अब कौन
it
करेगा,
takes
निकल
me,
लेंगे.
I don't know how long it takes for you to cook. It takes me good 2.5 to 3 hours to make one. Like, it took me 2.5 to 3 hours to make bhindi because first you chop the vegetables, then you clean the mess, then you chop the onions and other things, then you clean that mess, and then you start cooking, and then you clean the other mess that you're making, and then when finally the meat is done, you have to clean the other mess. It's like you just A lot of
You
work.
learn to multitask. Don't worry.
I'll learn to multitask.
Like I have reached fortunately that phase in life where I can chop the onions like cut, and also like at that place where something is on the flame, and I'm
Yeah.
chopping something else for the next step. So
Wow.
you'll reach there too.
I
It'll just require
I
some
I
practice, but
struggle
eventually you'll reach there too.
I struggle with onions. I am blind
I
for
love
good
chopping onions.
30
I
to
never
45
like
minutes.
using a chopper. I'm always like चाकू और उससे मतलब बैठ के
I
करेंगे.
was looking for choppers because every time I tried to chop, don't you cry when you're cutting onions? It takes me good 30 to 45 minutes to recover.
Yeah, it'll take time in the beginning. Then you'll get used to it. It's also about you should also try to improvise on what kind of knife suits you the most. That
Oh,
helps you a lot. So there are two kinds of knives that you need, right? One is which has a sharp blade, and the other one which has teeth,
which
right?
has what?
Which has teeth on it, which has a
Wow.
zigzag teeth on it.
Wow. Why? Oh,
So
got it. The
you got
the
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Yes.
very
So
tiny
those
buddies they're there.
right. So the sharp ones are good for chopping, but for removing the skin and removing the heads and all those things, those the ones with the tooth, they really come in handy.
Why am I only learning of this now? ये तो किसी को भी नहीं बताया था.
ये हमने तो मेटल कटिंग में सीखा था. मैंने वो वाला लॉजिक कुकिंग पे लगाया. मैंने कहा वो वाला चाकू बढ़िया चलेगा, इसमें जल्दी काम होगा.
Nice. I'm gonna try this now.
Yeah, I mean, you should have both the knives with you,
Got
right?
it.
One, you should have a chef's knife. A chef's knife is always straight blade, right? Really sharp, right? And it has like a curved blade at the end, so that you can keep going
I've seen
like
that.
that. You don't have to lift the knife from the board. You just keep chopping it. And the other one is like a flat knife. They're smaller also,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they're
yeah.
really cheap, right? Crystal के आते हैं बहुत अच्छे अच्छे. So and they have teeth on it. So that thing is really good, if you have to chop through really hard stuff.
Wow.
Because otherwise, if you have a flat blade knife, it would slip a lot.
Got it. I just have discovered so initially I used to get very confused, like why do we need a separate chopping board? Like we can
Uh,
function even without chopping board. But slowly I've started valuing it so much.
which do you have a
Chopping
wooden
boards,
chopping board or a different
wooden
one?
chopping board.
Yeah, I didn't get a wooden one in the beginning. Then I got a wooden.
Why? What's the difference? Like
Now wood is good. It's
I
just
thought it's
that
just aesthetic. That's why we.
no. Wood has so wood. There is very less likeliness that a wooden board would slip.
Okay.
Plastic one can
Nice.
from your slab. So that's why.
Got it. Yeah.
I think we went way past the topic that we were
Yeah.
starting off with.
But I think we had decided to cap it at 45 minutes also, so it's okay.
Yes.
We're
And this
good.
guy's also like, yeah, forget me there, bhai.
Oscar has grown up a lot since the last time I saw him in photographs.
I think he was already always a grown up when I got him. So when I got him, he
Yeah,
was 3
but
years
he's
old.
just calmed down a lot. I never imagined he can sit like this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
this
he's
is amazing.
learning to behave a little bit.
Yeah. How long do you take him out for walks? Like, how long do the walks usually last?
Usually 45 minutes or an hour.
Nice.
Like this night walk, it's always a long walk. Then there's an evening walk, which is a short one.
Oh, so you go for 2 walks every day, evening and night.
3 walks. There's a morning walk as well, right?
Wow.
So
I do not know
he's
how
a
you.
big dog, right? He needs a lot of exercise.
Wow. And who's going to do that once you move to Gurgaon? Are you planning to take him with you?
Yeah. He'll come along.
Nice.
Not immediately. Like initially, I'll just go for 5 days for now, because there's going to be alternate week wala office for that timing. So we have a walker who will replace me, but then yeah, eventually he'll move along.
Nice. This is sweet. But this has been amazing, Bhoomik. Thank you so much for doing this. If you have any recipe recommendations, please let me know.
Oh yes, your
Easier
pasta
ones.
that thing should get sorted out. The one that you're going to do after this.
Yes, I hope.
I'll send over a couple of things.
Thank you so much. And I hope I'll see you again and sometime soon in person.
Yes, definitely. Okay.
Cool. That's amazing. And thank you so much for joining today. It seems.
Problem. Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Bye bye. Have a good evening. Bye.
Two.
Hi everyone. Welcome to Kitaabi Cabins. So this was really nice. Uh, we kind of moved away from the topic a lot, but at least we covered the major stake that we were discussing, which was Vikram and Betal. But this is nice. And of course, I've started cooking recently. Would you guys like a cook show on the channel, like where we try a lot of different recipes from our favorite books? I'm just going to type out something. But would you guys want to try different recipes that have been inspired by our favorite books or novels or classics? So, for example, there is, but there are a lot of, I'm assuming there'll be a lot of English recipes like cookies, pastries, cakes, etc. And I'm not sure how good I am there, but we can definitely try it again. But this has been amazing, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I don't even know if anybody is watching because there are no comments on the stream only. But I hope we can get more guests and we'll be strictly talking only books and business, which is books. But yeah. But now I'll be taking a leave. And it's nice to see how many of you stayed actually, and let me know what else would you like to see on the channel. Hopefully we'll have another guest on the next stream. Oh wait, next stream we're going to be discussing the book for the month, which is Remnants of a Separation, and I think we'll be joined by the author of the book as well, which is Anshul Malhotra. And I'll see you guys again next time. So see you then, and have a good evening and have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys. Bye bye. Okay.